Hey there, I'm Lainey Lipsky, parenting coach and master teacher. Parenting is hard. I totally get it, and I'm here to make it easier for you. Especially if you had a tough childhood or you've got a tough child now, I've got your back. So take a deep breath, relax, and check out this clip from my coaching group this week. And remember to hit like and subscribe if you like my vibe. Let's get started. Things move so fast now. We are in this 24/7, not just news cycle, but life cycle, it seems. It's so hard to turn things off unless we're really, really conscious. And there's so many things vying for our attention and pulling at us to check, whether it's email or texts or social posts or so many pings and notifications. I think that our attention is our most precious and finite resource. And that's why all of the, technology companies and really everybody is just vying for it. They're vying for our attention. That's why all the algorithms work the way they do, you know? It's like the longer you watch a video, the better it is for your subscriber list or for your count list or whatever, your like list, the more you're going to be seen. So people know this. This is a known thing. And I want you to give some of that to yourself. Make sure you're saving some for yourself. It's so hard with all of that's coming at us, all the stimuli that comes at us, to give ourselves time to actually process it, to actually sit still with it, even when we're driving in our car. That what is most people's thought, I know mine definitely goes to this, is what can I do while I'm in the car? Can I take care of whether it's catching up on a podcast or making a phone call or multitasking in some way. It's become the biggest drain. The drain of our attention is multitasking. And so there's no way we can catch up with the pace of life if we're not giving ourselves time to actually process it. And sleeping is not enough time to process it. And you know this as well as I do, that you can know something in your head, but it takes time for your heart and for your body to catch up with it. It takes time for you to actually, it's like any feeling, like when something tragic happens, it's like in your head, oh, that's really sad, but it takes a while sometimes for the tears to come, right? That's a great example of how there's a delay between what our brain thinks and what our bodies experience, how we process it down here. It's slower down here. So it's really important to give ourselves time, ideally every day, ideally several times a day, to let our bodies catch up with all of the input, the stimuli that's coming in. Super important. Some people believe that reactions begin in the brain and then you feel it in your body. And I've heard people say the opposite, that you feel it in your body and your nervous system, and then it becomes a thought. I'm not sure where I stand on that particular argument or debate, um, but I do know both are important. It's important to let your body catch up with your head, and it's important to have your head slow down enough sometimes so that your body and your head can be aligned. That's really the important thing, is that your what you're feeling and what you're thinking are aligned, so you can live in a way that makes you feel like you, and that you're not trying to convince yourself of things all the time. And that's what happens when we're feeling something, but we're trying to convince ourselves in our head that what we think in our head is right, even though we know in our heart it's wrong. Or the reverse, when we're trying to convince, talk ourselves out of a thought we're having based on a feeling we're having. Like if we're scared of something and um, our head is telling us that it's okay. Anytime there's a misalignment with what we're thinking and what we're feeling, we're going to actually feel bad. It doesn't feel good to be out of alignment. Like when something sad happens, maybe, an older person passes away and we feel sad. But in our heads, we start trying to talk ourselves out of that feeling, which would be like, well, they lived a long life. they were sick for a long time, or they're in a better place, right? We start trying to talk ourselves out of that feeling that we're having instead of just being with the feeling. That's one example of how we can be out of alignment with our head and our heart. When we know something is sad, but we're not feeling it, right? So in that case, it would be like, oh, I know that this person passing away is actually sad, but I don't actually, and I know I should be sad about it, but I don't feel it. That's being out of alignment as well. So I know in my own life when I don't have that connection between what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling, I don't know which one to listen to. Like, should I listen to my feelings or should I listen to my thoughts? And what I'm trying to share with you today in this stillness practice is that the more we can allow ourselves to sit, just sit and process our thoughts, process our feelings, let our bodies catch up to our minds, let our minds catch up to our feelings, then we're going to be living more authentically. So I'm not talking about oversharing. I'm talking about living an authentic life in the way that you feel grounded, you feel appropriately vulnerable, right? So yeah, like maybe you overshare with your best friends, your inner circle of friends or whatever, but like not with everybody, you know? So there is that level of vulnerability where you do share the things that you're not sure about, the things that you don't feel totally set on. Um, and you are living in a way that feels like it's really you. That's what I mean by living an authentic life in a way that's really you. And it's not wrapped up in your ego mind of, well, what should I be doing? What should anytime you hear the word should or you use the word should on yourself, that's a red flag that you're probably not being in an authentic place about something. And the only way to get to an authentic place with yourself is to give yourself time to check in with yourself. That's what it comes down to. And you can do that through sitting still. You can do that through journaling. Journaling requires that you sit still. But it's the opposite of multitasking. So maybe it's for you if you spend a lot of time in the car. Maybe it's just driving and not turning on that radio or not making that phone call and just giving yourself time to process. And I know in parenting, processing can feel like a luxury. It can feel like you need an hour or you need a half an hour or even 15 minutes to go and, um, take a bath or, do something that feels extravagant or a long time. But I firmly believe that we have to figure out and we have to practice and build into our habits ways to take care of ourselves on the job, little ways of checking in with ourselves. So it can be a 30-second, um, or 1 minute time that you're at the bathroom sink washing your face and checking in with yourself, looking at yourself in the mirror. Another example is that walk that you take after if you have little kids, you buckle them into their car seats and you take that little mini vacation after you buckle them into their car seats and you close the door and you walk around the car and you get into your seat in the driver's seat. That's a little time to check in with yourself. Little moments like that are really, really essential to build into your habits of checking in with yourself throughout the day, just like a saying hello to yourself. And that can be done with three really cleansing breaths, or just saying hi to yourself, like, hey, checking in over here, little things like that. And I know sometimes that can sound cheesy or that can sound goofy or woo woo, but it actually is very nourishing and doesn't require that we step away from our parenting in order to take care of ourselves. Self care on the job is what I call it. It's important. I really hope this video was helpful to you. Feel free to share it and use the comments to ask a question or to request a topic for the future. We've got links below for free support with things like discipline, teaching your kids how to be more gritty, and how to be more patient with your kids, plus access to my free coaching group. So be sure to check those links out. And remember, we get one shot at parenthood. Our kids only get one shot at their childhood. So let's make it count. Click like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.